streaming once again. I made it back for another stream in the same week. It was the third one this week. I'm so impressed that I'm actually doing it. I know this is bare minimum so far, but I'm very happy that I'm here. Yeah, hi, I'm here. We're gonna play the Great Ace Attorney again, finally. After so long. And yes, I am actually restarting the trial from this day. Because when I did it last, my internet kept dying. So the videos weren't really any good to put up on YouTube or anything. So we're gonna start it again. Unfortunately. But it'll be fine. We'll get through it. Let me take a sip of water. I had to go out and do just a tiny bit of shopping after work. Still spent a lot more money than I had planned to, but anyway. We're gonna load from here. Trial part 1, the Old Bailey, yes. And we're gonna go on and hopefully we can make it through back to where we were last time. Maybe do it a little bit faster. I don't know. I remember that we were not interrogating. We were questioning the young couple that was in love. I remember that. I don't really remember too much else. Well, I never expected this. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon? We are on a study tour of Great Britain, with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible. Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court. It could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass. Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right. Good morning. Oh, Soseki, I'm so sorry that you're in this position. Oh, I feel like I have something in my eye. Ah, Mr. Natsume. Good morning. Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot. The other bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. But I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so literally? Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. I wish I had 9 lives! My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this, I can't take it! Although, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Miss Susato? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea. So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me! It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Von Zieks? Is that right, Miss Susato? I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Von Zieks is on the front page of every one. I knew it. Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact. Until the day before yesterday. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us similar, didn't he? Oh, crap. What did I give Gregson for a voice? The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Von Zieks' return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. The trial of Magnus McGilded. Ugh, what a harrowing experience that was. I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's. But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country. Why is the Reaper back at the Bailey so soon, for what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking. And they're all speculating various answers. Mundane? Mundane? That's the most significant saga of the century to some of us! Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that is how the papers are describing it. Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial 2 days ago. Yes, I agree. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. It's you! Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Both times it is you who stands against the legendary prosecutor. I need to stop and read before I start speaking. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper! Now please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers. I'm afraid that there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck. Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck! Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive! Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. One second. My eye is not happy. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills or luck. But I promise you this. I will fight your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side. Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquires. I forgot her last name. I am in your debt forever! I shall never forget this great kindness of... Mr. Natsume, cancel for the defense. The court session is about to begin. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. Alright then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Yes! He's so skittish. This is it. I'm looking for something. Ah, I did save that. Okay, good. Right? Oh, yes, I did. Okay, good. My second appearance in a British courtroom. I gotta finish that later. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Oh. Because this time I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. I hope you are, because I don't know if I am. Oh, February 20th, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. He really looks like a vampire when he holds his jacket like that. Shush fun. The Nipponese are a truly fascinating breed. Sorry, what? Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. that you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur. Do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance. Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description. Susato-san. After all, at our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent. I don't think he was, but... Very true, and a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquitted and his unfortunate violent end. Oh yeah, I'm remembering a little bit more. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public? You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. I remember giving her that accent. Oh, well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. I'm afraid to say I think it's quite possible that mustached foreigner did the deed. Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. Sorry, didn't quite catch that. I remember a little bit. Very well, let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord von Zieks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student with the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, the student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime, I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst, bloody oath they are. Just look at that sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese. Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Didn't quite catch that. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hallowed chalice here in this great chamber. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. Oh no, I don't remember the voice. I don't remember the voice. Your name and occupation, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. That'll work. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be. Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. What? So they don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose, I see. But her life is not in danger. Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map. I'm making all the guys sound alike, but I can't do a deep voice. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. Case file has been entered into the court record. What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back. Ouch. That big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose. I don't know if I said that right. A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume? From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord. I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment toward the victim? I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
Oh, yes. Raise your hand. Good boy. If theft and grievance have been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
Oh my. Don't do that! Sir, dangerous! Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. But your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here. What? Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. I don't remember what I did here. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good. There was no one else but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he'd just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the book to arrest him. Old books, you say? Yes, my lord, I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. On to the 3 books. Yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well, Forgive me, Lord Zieks, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it. What are you doing, Miss Susato? Do go on. Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now that you mention it, when we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was. Just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed into the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran, as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. A green overcoat? Well, that's exactly what the woman in that print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the world come up with next? The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back. There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there is nobody else who could possibly have stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes. It seems the cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please. Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. Mr. Natsume's arrest. Usually light fog. Oh,
Hold it!
I was gonna press R. A light fog, you say? Well, light for London. You could see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though. That's light, is it? Around these parts, yes. Not something you'd expect a Japanese... Not something I'd expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course. I've read that London is famous for its fog, but in my country, people usually imagine that gives the city a rather beautiful appearance. How quaint. Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate. I see. At this time of year, the fog causes a large number of incidents, especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm. Indeed, the other day, I was very nearly trampled by horses before I could see the carriage they were pulling. Sasanta-san and I should definitely remember to stop, look, and listen. However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than the usual. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. So rude he is. One second. It was really reasonably good, and there was no one about but the victim and the accused.
Hold it!
How are you able to state that with any certainty? Quite simply, my learned friend, because that is what the witnesses to this crime have told us. Yes, Inspector Gregson mentioned the witnesses yesterday, didn't he? That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard. That is correct, ma'am. Oh, then we must hear their testimony. The prosecution will, of course, call them to the stand, should it be necessary. But wait a minute! At 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog might have been, no one could have seen. I'm unaware of the situation on your tiny island in the east. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights. Ah. The prosecution believes there would have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite, here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness. Which means we really need to hear those witness statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to. It seems the counsel for the defense is taking stock. Continue with your testimony, Inspector. I believe the victim was stabbed from behind and collapsed on the pavement.
Hold it!
I don't remember what I have to do here. From behind, you say? That's right, as you can see from this print. Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. And you say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in a critical condition? Comatose, no less? I should take my makeup off before I start. I'm afraid so, my lord, yes. She's being treated at Bart's. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't meant to be. Yes, that is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events. Luck is on your client's side, it seems. No. Ah, the weak snap. On the contrary, my client has been exceedingly unlucky. Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid. Poor Ryunosuke.
Hold it!
Mr. Natsume's belongings? I think you'll find it's all there in the photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, the 3 books on the floor. Oh, somebody else said that. That's right, my lord. Second-hand books. They were irreparably damaged after falling in the snow, of course. Of course. The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand. Which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example. He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume had his hands full with the books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there. You mean to say that the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? That must be what happened, my lord, yes. Oh, excuse me, except that that's a little bit far-fetched, in my opinion. Those being the number of old books he bought on his way home from the shop. The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Mearshcombe Street. I don't know if I'm saying that one right, but I'll say it. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end, which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this. Local map updated. I'm giving him more southern accent than I'm meaning to, really. Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop. I think I made him sound more old than this, but oh well. Mr. Naruhodo, I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance. Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made being... Pick the location. The crucial detail in what you just told the court, Inspector, is the location of the bookshop. I couldn't agree more. So, where's it exactly? Are you winding me up, Sunshine? I just explained that! I got the map out and everything! Used red, blue, and ink! And drew the bloke's route home for you! And I distinctly remember seeing you not along, Counsel. Yes, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Oh, yes, of course. Must have been so nervous I didn't take it in. The blunder of the day goes to you, my learned friend. No, not yet. The trial's only just begun, after all. Mr. Naruhodo, I would strongly advise you to look carefully through the court record at this stage. Yes, miss. At once, miss. Sorry I made a mistake, miss. Inspector, continue with your testimony, please. It must be the name, and I just messed up. Let me look at the court record. Yeah, it's the name. Because he went to your books. press it again. We go through again. Go through it again. Briefly, quickly. Quickly! Ah! Vital importance being the bookshop's name. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor? What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe. Oh, well, you know. I mean, yes, it could be a very important clue. Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector. Yes, sir, my lord, whatever you say. Could the man be any more sardonic? On his way home from... He was not on his way home from Bourbon.
Objection!
Oh, objection! If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, Sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused's room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books? Y-O-R-E, I presume. Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. What? Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop? Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that... Well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. This receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, makes no difference in the final analysis. I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street map here, if that might be of help. Oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would most certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true? My, it rather depends on where this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely. It absolutely could be right. Inspector Gregson, where's this Your Books establishment? Well, obviously we looked into that. It turns out that Your Books is just here on the next corner of Mirshkum Street going east. Update it again. And there you have it, as you can clearly see now. Oh. My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticisms. To your future career in the circus. You put that glass down now, or I'll put it down for you. I don't remember her saying that. I didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon Books, there's no doubt he still would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed. Yes, thank you, Inspector. Oh. Allow me to reiterate from my learned, if somewhat slow, Nipponi's friend. Whoa. Wherever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. Ah! No! As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try. What did I say? I've had enough of this now. Beg your pardon. Terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Mr. Naruhodo, we mustn't give up. What do you mean? If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty. Ah, she's absolutely right. We must think. We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully. They claim Soseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from your books, but we raise an objection. Do it! The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed. Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. Did I mess up? When returning from your books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodgings without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Objection!
Oh, sir. I know. Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that that route is what is commonly referred to as the long way around. The long way round, whatever. I'm trying to put something in my desk. On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home? Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime.
Objection!
But... Aha, yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home. I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection. That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. I don't believe this! He's fancy. I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. Pray, what say you, insightful jurors? But even if that is the case, the defense still... Oh? I agree with Lord Von Zieks, wholeheartedly and in every way. What? I don't believe it. Does this mean we members of the jury are completely convinced now? Very well, in that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Did I mess up? I can't. Oh dear. Uh-oh. Did I mess up? It would appear the jury's leaning is unanimous. Did I mess up? I can't remember. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably. Mr. Naruhodo. No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. Lift your head, boy. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow. Help. Those are the eyes of Quarry, not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial. Rights of the defense written into antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago. Call it antiquated if you will, but it's the defense's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if it so chooses. Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with the summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Of course we're ready. I'm all too familiar with that Nipponese whippersnapper and his uncas' refusal to throw his alley. So many words, oh my goodness. Very well then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. For pity's sake, that little Nipponese oddity already admitted it himself, didn't he? If he said that a woman in green collapsed before his eyes, why, it can only have been the victim. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful. I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got work to be doing. Your books, yes. Nice shop, that. Bourbon books? No, not worth a visit. He looks like Santa. With only minor exceptions, the reasons for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, the only two people at the scene were the victim and the accused. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in her green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes. Furthermore, we have heard from the inspector that the defendant then fled the scene. I must say, I would have ample grounds to convict this man already. Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt now. Why did he have to run away like that? And how are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody could see? This is impossible! How can I possibly make a case for the defense? Mr. Naruhodo, this is no time for grumbling. If we want to force the trial to continue... Yes, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least. Exactly. We have no choice but to forge forward. You have the floor, counsel. Begin your summation examination. Yes, my lord. I just need to keep this trial going somehow, whatever it takes. Come on, Ryunosuke. You can do it.
Hold it!
You're right that at the time of the incident, the defendant admits to having seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him. Well, quite. That's precisely my point. Clearly that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly that funny little Nipponese man with the disturbing mustache is the culprit. But let's not forget, madame, the defendant vehemently denies attacking the woman. Why, of course he does. If he admits to stabbing her, his life is over. The man is obviously a liver-faced coward, honestly, claiming the woman simply collapsed before his eyes. But if that's not a lie, as you're suggesting, do you not think he would have concocted something more credible? Oh, I really couldn't say. After all, you are foreign. Who's to say what goes through your funny little minds? I can tell you what's going through my funny little mind right now, but you didn't like it. I do declare made the admission. He himself has stated there was nobody else around. Surely the conclusion is obvious. No one else could possibly have committed this awful crime. If no one else could have done it, the accused must be the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple. Your argument is compelling in its simplicity, I must admit. Oh my, you are too kind, my lord. That went well. For her.
Hold it!
Sorry? Fold did you say? Fold what? No, what I said was, hold it! What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often? I like the old books they have in there, yes. I enjoy reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. And at what time did you visit your books on the day in question? Well, I was picking out books in there all afternoon, and it would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. Just before 5, you say? Exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time? Oh yes, no mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry, not after the dreadful time I had. What do you mean? Well, I was walking down Calabash Road when I slipped on the ice and donked to my head. It's always worse after the snow stopped falling. That's when it's most slippery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. I really thought my number was up. Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. This happened on Calabash Road. That's right. I live in Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from your books. Juror number 6, I must insist that you add that information to your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant. Sorry? Extremely sick? No, I'm quite alright now. Poor Ryunosuke. It sends a shiver down my spine to hear the members of the jury so convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt. But I can't help feeling that some of their opinions are rather subjective. I agree. It's the irrelevance of what some of them are saying that sends a shiver down my spine. Still, at least some of their assertions don't actually incriminate Mr. Natsume of anything. That's something. We must use that to our advantage, Mr. Naruhodo. So cunningly. 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. Yes, you're right. Let's listen to the jurors again, carefully. And if any of their assertions are at odds, I'll pit them mercilessly against each other. Yes, don't hold back. Pit them all against each other.
Objection!
Remember doing this one. Those two statements clearly show a flaw in the juror's reasoning. A flaw? What are you talking about, counsel? Well, juror number 2, juror number 6. Ma, whatever do you mean, sir? I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you. Unbelievable. It's not like I was loud or anything. There's at least one fact of which we can be sure here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates that on the day of the attack, he had been to your books and purchased a number of second-hand titles. He then returned home on foot. But the man says he has no recollection of his return journey. That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes. Yes, we are well aware of all this. That poor young woman who was stabbed, obviously.
Objection!
Can we really be sure of that, madam? Ma, whatever do you mean? I'm sure you heard juror number 6's account of what happened to him that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim, who was wearing a green overcoat and who fell on the icy streets of the neighborhood. You mean... That's right. I'm referring, of course, to hard of hearing juror number 6. Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat who the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was the jolly old gentleman on the end of the bench with me here today? That is entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has a somewhat similar build to the victim. Well, look at that. My goodness me. Sorry, you need a pee. And crucially, we know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell. On Calabash Road. Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home. Oh my! You idiot old man, if you hadn't been so daft as to be roaming about there, we'd have boxed this off hours ago. And really, what were you thinking wearing such a befuddling coat? What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the streets these days? Is it a crime to slip over on the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat, is it? Oh, hold it. Her and her compact. My lord, I do hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but... You'd like to change your leaning, I presume? I do declare that I would. I should like to call for a verdict of not guilty. Thank you. And I would too. What? Is it a crime to change your mind? Is it? Well... Una... Dos... Tumor! Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. That was wonderful. Well, we've managed to change a couple of minds at least. It strengthened our position somewhat. Yes, and it will prompt the other members of the jury to reconsider their stance as well. They'll be asking themselves if their current leanings are really right or not. Now, if we could just identify one more clue or discrepancy that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume, we might be able to tip the balance completely. Yes, that's exactly what we've got to do. Zieks is looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent by whatever means we have at our disposal. Thank you, Counsel. On with the summation examination, please. Yes, my lord. Cute. I didn't realize that their comments would change after that.
Hold it!
But you can't deny that there are other routes Mr. Natsume could have taken back from your books. Oh, yes, like you drew on the map, you mean? What was it? Calabash Road or something? Precisely. But it seems to me that what counts is whether the little Japanese fellow actually went that way or not. Well, yes, that's true. And at the moment, there's no proof that shows he did, is there? Well, yes, that's true as well. And as I understand it, the accused himself doesn't remember which way he went, does he? Well, yes, that's annoyingly true. Winter nights are dark and cold, so the way I see it, you'd want to get home as quickly as possible. Well, yes. Why is all this true? So, really, the only thing that makes sense is that he went home along Briar Road. This must be convincing you here. I have given it a lot of thought, you know. I didn't just make up my mind on a whim that he did it. I mean, if there was some logical reason why he might have gone the Calabash Road way, it'd be different. I'd be happy to reconsider my position in that case. Honest, I would. A reason why Soseki-san might have taken the longer way home. Yes, a good reason. I don't imagine you'll be able to sway that young man's opinion without one. Well, I know who can do that.
Hold it!
A man's life is on the line here, sir. This will take as long as it takes. Don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too, and so is my family's. Ah. The likes of you wouldn't understand, but a laborer like me can't afford to take time off. If I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and kids. Oh, I see. That must be very hard. I go to the union every morning to find out what needs doing. If you're late and the work's taken, it's tough. This time of year, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left, right, and center. They're after cheap labor to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's a hard slug from dawn till dusk, it is. So, you were out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you? Hi! Hello! My eyes are hurting and I don't know why. Your name's such a bright green. How are you? I want to get back to where I was with the cute little lovey-dovey couple. I don't think I know what that is. I don't think I know what Father Brown is. But I am enjoying this, going through this again so far. I'm remembering some things from the last time we tried this, and my internet decided it wanted to be garbage. Oh, a priest that solves crimes? That's cool. That sounds cool anyway. Oh, wow, really? I haven't watched, like, many British shows. That's why the sound was so soft in my ears. My headset was turned down. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I have to see if I can find that somewhere. My mom and I have been watching a show on CBS called Ghosts, and there's apparently a British version of it. But I don't know where I can watch it. Probably Hulu or something, maybe. I don't know. That's right. In fact, if I remember rightly, it was just around the corner from where it all happened. By that old bookshop it was. What? Another coincidence. That's right. Mirshcombe Street it was. Mirshcombe Street. On the map, Mr. Naruhodo, there are only 3 named streets. Turn number 5. I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please. Oh, you need BritBox? Oh. Unfortunate. I don't believe I have that. Pretty sure I don't. What's the point of that? Can't we just get this business over with now? Please, sir, it's important. Fine, I'll do it then. I don't remember half the voices I made last time. Now I know why my sim was turned down. I feel like I'm yelling now. My PlayStation can play DVDs. That's the only way I... Well, I do also have my CD drive for my laptop.
Objection!
Pit them against each other! These two statements are clearly at odds with one another. At odds, counsel. Explain yourself. Please, don't point. It wasn't me, I swear. What? I just want to get this done and dusted. Well, juror number 3. Oh, me, sir? What do you mean? Juror number 5... I can't talk. Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implications of what's been said on our map of the local area. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of second-hand books. And on the same day, we now know that there were works being carried out on Mirshcombe Street, making it impassable. Which means that the defendant's route home could not have taken him along Mirshcombe Street and down Briar Road. Oh, yes, of course! What do you think, sir? Well, yes, you can't argue with that, really, can you? He must have had a good 2 yards or more. We must have had a good 2 yards or more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way. So the only conclusion is this. The defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings. Yes, I suppose he must have. I suppose that must be right, eh? Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop. But we see now that he had no choice. Yes! My lord, Mr. Judge, sir, if I may? Yes? I don't think in all good conscience that I can say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to see this trial continue so we can get to the bottom of what really happened. Whee! What about you, sir? Who me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in. That's what I say. I don't remember voices. It's been too long. Well, that summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. The ayes 2, the noes 4. So the noes have it. Not guilty, they say. Which means we no longer have a consensus among the members of the jury. Who is messaging me? Oh, it's Hook. Hook's trying to give me a 10:30 curfew for shiny hunting. The trial will continue.
Objection!
Oh. Stop drinking in court! That is Francisca! Could it seem churlish of me to drink from my hallowed chalice moments after raising an objection? Only to crush it in disgust? Pray, forgive the discourtesy. Lord von Zieks? It seems I must retract my earlier remark. What do you mean? I mistakenly credited these jurors with intelligence by describing them as insightful. Yet we've just witnessed them falling for a cheap trick performed by an Eastern entertainer. Huh? Whatever do you mean?
Objection!
I'm gonna use this voice again in a bit. Maybe. I haven't tricked anyone. Everything I've said is the truth. Indeed. Stalwart juror number 5 was undoubtedly repairing the road, as he claims. I believe you said it was a good 2 yards of the pavement which you had excavated, sir. That's right, took me the whole day and they paid me a measly tuppence for it. Now, my learned Nipponese friend, tell me, do you have any notion of the distance that 2 yards represents? Well, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, no. 2 yards is a little less than 2 meters. Less than 2 meters? That's not much at all. In other words, a distance readily vaulted by anyone of moderate vigor. Would you not agree, my stalwart friend? What? Me? Well, I can't say you're wrong, no. What? Did you perchance erect a sign to prevent pedestrians from passing the site of your works? I wouldn't dream of it. What a waste of time. No coaches would have had a hope of passing anyway, so we just turn any gentlefolk back where they came. Kids just jump right over us all the time. The accused is no gentleman as far as I can see. I have little doubt, however, that he could spring over a 2-yard trench in his meanderings around town. One second. I need to send a message. Is that true? Is it? The incontrovertible truth is that the books just purchased by the accused were found at the scene. There can be no doubt that on his way back to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume walked down Briar Road. Crushed in a single sentence. And, old man. Cold man? You can talk! You say that around 5 o'clock on the day in question, you slipped and fell on Calabash Road. Pray, was there a suspicious-looking Nipponese behind you at the time? Oh, I can't say as I remember. You don't remember? How about a wager, my learned friend? You say it was this old man that the accused saw, but I would lay 1,000 to 1 against you being able to prove it. Oh. Rude! Oh, I don't remember what to do. Order! Order! Lord von Zieks, explain yourself. My lord. If you had such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not proffer it during the summation examination? I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinion of the jury is so readily swayed. But my hospitality has its limits, and they have been reached, I feel. There goes the cape! Oh my! Oh my! So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. What? What are you talking about? My lord! The prosecution requests permission to call its next witnesses to the stand. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witnesses. Its next witnesses? Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that there were eyewitnesses to the incident. Yes, I remember one of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less. I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness. Alright. No matter who Von Zieks brings to the stand as his witnesses, no matter what they say, I believe in Soseki-san. I know he's innocent. And I'll keep believing to the very end until this battle is over. They're so in love! I remember them! Oh, look at them! Look at her starry eyes! She goes a little crazy though later. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Constable Rolly Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the streets, sir. And I'm Mrs. B. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say I'm this young town hero's wife. What's the story here? Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day. was your husband I was asking about? He seems tired. Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honorable occupation, patrolling the beats is the most demanding work in the world. Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually. Indeed, apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, taxes. Check that meters are reading true. And they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our street lights. I have to do my taxes this weekend. There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all. I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet. I'd have collapsed long ago. I hate taxes. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. I hope I get a refund this year, but I'm not expecting one. For the London Bobby is a man of honor. He's falling asleep. And a man of slumber. On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat? Ooh, who's better, Rolly and Pat or Desi and Ron? Ooh, why you gotta ask me that? Because I love Desi and Ron. Hold on, I have to send another message. Both are just dumb and in love. They're both very cute little couples. I don't know. I can't choose. I love them both, too. They're very cute. That's right, sir. Isn't it, Rolly? Constable Roy the Beats, nothing to report on the street, sir. What a great witness he's going to be. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident. Yes, sir. As long as he stays awake. It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help in a nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Rolly and I both saw him as clear as day. You couldn't have the fog? Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say. Oh dear, this policeman and his wife were claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you establish in the summation examination will be quashed. I want to say squashed. It's a death knell, in fact. Because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate bechancing. And on your wedding anniversary, too. Oh, I know, but I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed. Indeed, however, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was without doubt the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. I keep losing my words. And one of these witnesses is a policeman, no less. So you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure. Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all the talking. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. I'm sleepy. Wedding anniversary.
Hold it!
No time to change after work. No time to change after work, you say? Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. Beat? Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply. Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down the ground, doesn't it, darling? What? I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy. Oh no, Rolly, I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes. Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy. Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct? That's right, sir, yes. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. Policing is my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty to patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, and for such a noble cause, I covered 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble, because I know that the plodding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. He's killing me. So, fighting a crime doesn't appear to come into it then. But sir, on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. B puts up with the love being married to a Bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, they're so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold. If a little over the top, perhaps? And then, kindly describe what happened next. Two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes? That's right, they were coming towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure, followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. It does sound exactly like the victim is pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume. Yes, unfortunately it does. And you're certain that at that time there was nobody else nearby? Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling? What? Ah, yes, that's right, of course. There was a light fog on the ground. Briar Road is dead straight, and you could see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians. Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer please, Mr. Beat. Are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir, as a copper who spends all day, every day, keeping watch on the streets, I swear to it, sir. So I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true. still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened. It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run. Well, convinced that Mr. Natsume did it. He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed? All of a sudden, one of them just climbs to the floor and the other one scattered something before running off. Scattered something? What do you mean by that? Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling? Can Ace Attorney 7 look like this? What? Oh, yes, that's right. It was some old books. I see. Old books. Yes, sir! The culprit dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed, as clearly as pictured in the photographic print. That rotten Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it!
Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. But we saw him. It was the man in the dock without question, sir. The mustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Everything! Any more insults you want to throw in? That's right. He looked at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes. And then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away. I see. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court of this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please, continue. Yes, sir! Straight over and went for help in a nearby police box. Was it your husband who went to fetch help? No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of one after all. Isn't that right, my darling? Yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. Beat to go. I was off duty by that point. But a Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene. Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance. That's why I said Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance. But what exactly do you mean by the right police box? Depends on a crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat the incident fell under, so she could go and report it. I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There's nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know. And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of 2 model citizens. Oh, please, you're making us blush, isn't he, darling? Yes, sir, what Patricia said, sir. Let's move on, shall we? It was definitely that Japanese man in the dog. It's
Hold it!
clear as day somehow, even though there was fog. But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you? We absolutely could! Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know. She's gonna kill her husband. Right. The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he? Yes. And what of the fog? We're famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course. Oh, it is. It is. When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm. Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about? The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling? Yes. It was the accused and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the unmistakable, sir! As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Soseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they say they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Briar Road that day. Yes, I feel the same. So if that's true, where does it leave us? The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony. Oh no! What do we do? If Kazuma-sama were here... What are you trying to say? I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony. What do you mean, somewhere else? Their statement about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them, to make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate. Oh, right. Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavorable conclusion. Ugh. I always seem to be so up against it. Because, unfortunately, Ryunosuke, you are the protagonist of an Ace Attorney game. And the defense lawyer. Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something? Oh, yes, of course. What is it? Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... It seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it? Well, out with it. What? No, it's really not that at all. My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail. Everything. Like, oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped? I could tell you the names of every single one, I could. Every single one. Don't you dare to question how reliable my testimony is. That will do, Mrs. B. No, it won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a moment that Rolly will. I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please, put your husband's fists down. She's crazy. But perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Mrs. Beat? Might that appease you? Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling? Poor guy. So tired. I could even tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped at the scene. It wasn't 4, though.
Objection!
It's only 3. So... You're saying that there were 4 books? That's right. I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur somebody, what's it yearnings, a meal for someone, and the thingamy something. I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat, but there's a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours. Oh no! What flaw? Simply that, at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4. What? Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see, there are only 3 books. But no, that can't be. I saw them. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, you can't fool me. Sorry? It's that big old lump of a dead body. That lady's so large, her corpse is blocking the view of the 4th book. That's all. Let's at least try to remember that the poor woman isn't dead, even if we're insulting her size. No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But Mr. Natsume could not possibly have dropped the 4 books you describe. Why not? Fascinating. And from your assured tone, something you can readily substantiate with evidence, I presume. Ah, evidence. Counsel, you will present evidence to substantiate your claim or withdraw it. What proof do you have that the accused did not just drop 4 books? His receipt? You only got 3? Oh, this makes me want to go back to the original Ace Attorney game, but we'll go back eventually.
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in the form of this bookshop receipt. From your books? Yes, this receipt details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed. No! Therefore, Mr. Natsume would have only dropped 3 books at the scene of the crime. Which means that your powers of observation, madame, cannot be relied upon. So it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! No!
Objection!
Oh my. His objection is very nice. It's plainly evident. That is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend. Hold on a second. What? What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well, you have no hope of disproving. So, you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? He sees right through me. But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony in every respect. Oh! You see, the matter's not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
One must belong to the victim. But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right. Only 3 can be seen. In that print. That print? You mean to say... Whoa. You're gonna catch the place on fire! Allow me to present another. One that shows the victim's hand. I don't believe it. It's the 4th book. As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. No. No! Order, order. There, you see? You see? Look at that! Look, look, look! Yes. It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir. Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please. Oh, yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other. The picture of Monsieur Lacroix. What's it, earrings? Canterbury earrings. A meal for someone. A meal for Gaborau. I don't know if I said that right, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. Beat's power of recollection can only be described as exceptional. Did you hear that, Rolly? The gentleman paid me a compliment. Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt. Mrs. B mentioned 4. There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm sorry, Counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim is holding her own book? I wonder, what became of that 4th book? Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, Counsel. My pleasure, my lord. Second crime scene photo has been entered into the court record. Ooh, my game's slowing down. The 4th book has been entered into the court record. Might need to save and close and reopen. The prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious longer route to the accused lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination. Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I? You see? Everything we've said is true. Isn't that right, my darling? Yes, Pat? Marry me, Pat? So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions. Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You've heard all of the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position. I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Ryunosuke, think! What do you do now? We save because I don't know. Should we wait and see, or should we raise an objection? I don't know. I don't want to mess up. I don't know. I didn't make it to this part last time. This is new territory. I saved so I can load, but we'll raise an objection.
Objection!
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend. It's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There's no more room for debate. Well, might be over as far as you're concerned, but... I can't think of what to say! If I may, Lord von Zieks, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point. Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. Oh. So rude! Oh my gosh! Be nice to her! I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. Hold on. So you will have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable. Oh! Mr. Naruhodo! One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance, so the court will hear you, madame. Go ahead, Miss Susato. Please. Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further? Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished. I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. Of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible. Yes, I understand. And thank you, Miss Susato. This is it. Susato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. I can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case and has hitherto been overlooked. What's with the edge of her book? Oh, I can't, actually, select things and hear from Susato. Wow. That's burned. That poor book. Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burnt. You're right. You'll never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages. What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently. Look, recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? Sorry, Hook's showing me something. So the husband and wife that own the place where Natsume-san is staying. Didn't they have a little bitty fire? Let me see. It's a book entitled The Lion's Pride. I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all, so it wouldn't be something I've heard. Wait a minute. The Lion's Pride? That's strange. I think I have heard of a book by that name before. Very recently, too. It's a title I recognize too, Mr. Naruhodo. He said something was a bad deal, and I said it was a good deal. I think it's the book. Like, it has to be, right?
Take that!
Please? The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book, found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
No, don't object. Don't. We have already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you well know. Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. No! When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You identify this clue at once. Uh-oh. Did I make myself clear? Uh-oh. Oh, yes, my lord, it's, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence. Which means you may very well be on the right track. Dang, why is that so cheap? It's $8 off. Hold on. Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case, which this fourth book conceals? Uh-oh. Is it the bird?
Got it!
I don't think that. I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The music's not stopping, it's scaring me. The back? What do you... Good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp. So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It's undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing.
Objection!
I actually love that Pat and Rolly's scarf is one long scarf. Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nipponi's friend? Oh, were I to concede the point, if it bears no relation to the case, there's nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day, pray, do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide? Charred book. There's just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but to try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, counsel. Explain this theory of yours. Yes, quickly, because I would like to go to bed. What are you suggesting that you can ascertain from the fire damage to the sorry tome it has suffered? We're doing a little shave. I think it's the owner though, because I have a feeling. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth about the book's owner. I beg your pardon. But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell to the floor. After all, it's obviously hers. The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand is yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how can you possibly... Very well, I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book? It's them. Which one of them do I choose? Because it had to have been one of them, right? Who do I choose? That's the only place they could have gotten the name. Or gotten the book from. Hopefully it's either, but I'm gonna choose Mrs. since she's here.
Take that!
Oh, the music stopped! That's a good sign! The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. The landlords. And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but... Of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garadeb herself. Oh my goodness, me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Garadeb's wife. I'm his maid. Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garadeb's house? I would never presume to know all of the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused's landlady, you say? You implicate this hardworking member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house. Good lord! What sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. Afraid to say it happened in the blink of an eye, you know? The whole place filled with smoke, couldn't see a bally thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. Bally furniture started going up as well. The worst of it is I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride. Look at that face he's making, though. Why is that so hot? What the heck? Oh my lord. By Jove, the very same title that's the subject of this debate. Oh dear me.
Objection!
This is risible. Risible? 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 This is risible. All you've told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire. In which case, it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garadeb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garadeb even amid the flames. Oh, how awful! I can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love. Can you really? Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir. Had all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. Then the wife started hurling things at me. There I was, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. Oh, it flew out the window. The man had his back up against the window. And he had the burning books thrown at him? Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
No. Thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident. There was no report of the Garadib's window pane being broken. That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garadib household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and not even remotely? Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter. Ah, that's true, but they were being smoked out by the fire. Does the defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that the book found at the scene of the crime was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Garadeb's wife? Yes. I believe it's a possibility, my lord. Do we get a second day of... Oh, that's quite enough. Oh, is this her? Well, I hope that everyone can see you for what you are now, you little foreign trickster. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward. A mean coward. Really? Claiming that our little tiff set the whole neighborhood alight, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case. Not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name. No, I assure you that was never my intention. Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defense. I should box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable. Too right. Here we go. How long have we sat here now listening to this Nipponese Shah spouting out his fancy foreign theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the mustache. And he ran away from the scene, too. I do declare you're right. It's true. Yes, what did I tell you? Makes sense to me. Sorry? What's that? Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord von Zieks? Well, he's going to pour himself another glass. In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage. No, wait! The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been... Oh, the leg! If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time. What? No, forgive the discourtesy this time? In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
This is awful. This is awful. I do love that they all actually get to say guilty and you get to hear voices, but this is awful! Once again! Ugh! Thank you for that unambiguous response. It's twice now. It's over. Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up. Miss Susato? Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet. You're not suggesting... Of course, the defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You can still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance. My lord, the defense asked to exercise its right to a summation examination. You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve? I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. This is no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. Oh, a to be continued point! Yay! Yay! I don't know what's happening anymore, though. I'm confused. They all really believe Soseki did it. Oh my gosh, this trial is just never ending, huh? We're not continuing tonight because I'm tired. No. We're going back to the title. We already saved, it's okay. We just saved, it's okay. We have it all, and if not, I will have to autoplay it later. But we're fine. Oh, this game is nice. It hurts my throat though. Special contents. We can't really look at anything because I know that there's spoilers hiding in this stuff. Oh, what is that on my Pro Controller? I'm just looking around. Oh, you have to do this stuff in both. I understand. I need to go back and play case 2 to get this one though. Oh, I didn't do that right. You don't do Okie dokie. Well, I'm gonna have this sit here and I'm gonna go to bed. Or I'm gonna lay in bed and shiny hunt for an hour. I don't know. I have a bombardier outbreak that I was gonna do because I need that stupid bird. I got trophies yesterday while I was watching TV shows. But anyway, this case is going on forever. I hope it's not another 2 hours and that next week we can start case 5, but I guess we'll see. But tomorrow, I'm gonna play Fire Emblem. We're gonna do Fire Emblem Engage tomorrow night. Probably around the same time, I don't know yet. It'll depend. It might be earlier, it might be a little later. That's okay, it's probably another hour or 2. So we'll probably finish it next Friday. But yeah, tomorrow will be Fire Emblem, and then Sunday I'm gonna gather and hatch more Fuecoco eggs while running around shiny hunting otherwise. Cause we need to get that shiny fire crocodile. I don't want to get it before Hook does, but he eats so many eggs in. So, yeah. Well, I'm gonna go so I can get ready for bed and everything. I gotta take my makeup off because I think it's making my eye watery. But I will be back tomorrow and we will play Fire Emblem Engage because I want to see what's happening in that game. I don't know what's happening. I fear heavier things. But yeah, I'll be back then. And then Pokemon Sunday and The World Ends With You on Tuesday. Yeah. So, I hope you have a good night, and hopefully we can hang out tomorrow.